I'm Mia Thompson, a 22-year-old gamer and freelance graphic designer from Seattle, where the rain-soaked streets and neon-lit coffee shops feel like the backdrop to my life's grind. For 3 years, I poured my soul into building my dream PC, a $3,800 masterpiece that was more than just a machine. Every cent came from late-night barista shifts at a quirky Fremont cafe, freelance design gigs for indie game devs, and skipping overpriced lattes to save a buck. That rig, with its liquid-cooled GPU, RGB-lit case, and cherry switch keyboard, powered my late-night Apex Legends sessions, client logo designs, and my slow but steady climb in Seattle's local eSports scene. It wasn't just tech, it was my rebellion, my proof I could carve out something epic in a world that often felt stacked against me. Growing up in a craftsman-style house in Capitol Hill, I always knew where I stood. Second place. My 18-year-old sister, Chloe, was the family's golden child, their princess draped in Balenciaga sneakers and a curated Instagram feed. She lived for viral TikToks, filming dance challenges in our living room while mom and dad beamed like she'd won a Nobel Prize. Me? I was the practical one, expected to suck it up when money got tight. "Mia, you're older, you can handle it," Mom would say, her voice soft but final. Dad would nod eyes on Chloe's latest post. They'd drop hundreds on her Nordstrom shopping sprees, Chanel bags, Gucci slides, while I patched my Converse with duct tape. I didn't hate Chloe, not really. I just buried myself in my grind, telling myself my PC was my way out, my ticket to independence. That dream shattered on a drizzly Saturday. I'd been at a gaming cafe in Belltown with my best friend Riley, a Twitch streamer with a knack for sniping in Valorant. We were hyped, plotting strategies for an eSports qualifier that could put my name on the map. I got home, rain-soaked and buzzing, ready to tweak my rig's overclock for practice. But when I pushed open my bedroom door, my heart stopped. My desk, a cluttered shrine of energy drink cans and sticky notes, was empty. No PC, no monitors, no keyboard. Just a tangle of cables and a void where my life's work had been. I stormed downstairs, pulse racing, to find Mom and Dad in the living room, sipping coffee under the glow of a mid-century lamp. "Where's my PC?" I demanded, voice shaking. Mom barely looked up from her phone. "Oh, we sold it," she said, like she'd just donated old clothes. Chloe needed an outfit for an influencer gala at Nordstrom's flagship downtown. My jaw dropped. "You sold my $3,800 rig? For what?" Dad shrugged, his flannel shirt creased from slouching. "It's just a computer, Mia. Chloe's event is a big deal." Chloe sauntered in, new Prada sunglasses perched on her head, smirking. "Relax, it's not the end of the world." I felt like I'd been punched. That PC wasn't just tech, it was years of sacrifice, my livelihood, my identity. And they'd traded it for Chloe's fleeting spotlight, crushing me without a second thought. We'd love to know where you're from. Leave a comment below and share your country with us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I highly recommend doing it now so you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. These aren't just ordinary stories, they're filled with meaningful life lessons that can inspire, teach, and stay with you long after the video ends. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. The rain was still tapping against my hoodie as I trudged into our Capitol Hill house, my mind buzzing from the gaming cafe in Belltown where I'd spent the afternoon with Riley. She's a Twitch streamer with a sharp wit and a killer aim in Valorant, and we'd been deep in strategy mode, mapping out our approach for a regional eSports qualifier that could finally put my name on Seattle's gaming radar. My dream PC, a $3,800 beast I'd built with blood, sweat, and skipped meals, was ready to carry me through. I was itching to fine-tune its settings, maybe stream a practice run to my small but loyal Twitch following. But when I swung open my bedroom door, the world tilted. My desk, usually a chaotic shrine of monster cans, post-it notes, and LED glow, was barren. My PC, dual 27-inch monitors, and custom mechanical keyboard with cherry switches gone. Just a sad tangle of HDMI cables and an empty surge protector mocked me. My stomach dropped, a cold, nauseous weight settling in. I stood frozen, heart hammering, half convinced I'd been robbed. But the rest of the house was untouched, no broken windows, no rifled drawers. My mind raced as I bolted downstairs, my damp sneakers squeaking on the hardwood. Mom and Dad were sprawled on the sectional in the living room, Netflix casting a blue glow across their faces as some true crime doc droned on. A bowl of popcorn sat between them, the picture of suburban normalcy. "Where's my PC?" I blurted, my voice sharper than I meant. Dad didn't even glance up, his eyes fixed on the screen. "We sold your computer," he said like he was commenting on the weather. Mom reached for the remote, pausing the show, her expression annoyingly calm. "Chloe needed an outfit for an influencer event at Nordstrom's downtown," she added, as if that explained everything. I stared, my brain struggling to process the words. "You sold my $3,800 rig? For what?" My voice cracked, disbelief morphing into rage. Dad finally looked at me, his flannel shirt rumpled, his face etched with that tired, "don't be dramatic" frown. "It's just a computer, Mia. Chloe's gala is a big deal, brands, influencers, connections. They paid $1,500 for it." A slap in the face would have hurt less. $1,500 for 3 years of my grind, my barista shifts, my freelance hustle? I felt my fists clench, nails biting into my palms. Before I could explode, Chloe sauntered in from the kitchen, her new Prada sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. She was scrolling her phone, a half-eaten yogurt in her other hand, and threw me a smirk. "It's just a PC, Mia. Get over it," she said, her voice dripping with that entitled nonchalance that made my blood boil. I wanted to scream, to shake them all until they saw what they'd done. That PC wasn't just anything, it was my lifeline, my proof I could build something in a family that treated me like an afterthought. Powered my graphic design gigs, my Apex Legends streams, my eSports dreams. But to them, it was just collateral for Chloe's latest TikTok-fueled fantasy. I stormed back to my room, slamming the door so hard the framed band posters rattled. Pacing the worn rug, I tried to calm the storm in my chest, but every thought circled back to betrayal. How could they not even ask me? How could they value Chloe's influencer schmooze fest over my entire world? The next day, digging through my old laptop, a sluggish relic I hadn't touched in years, I uncovered Chloe's dirty secret. I'd let her borrow my PC a few weeks back to edit her TikToks, despite my gut screaming no. Logging into my cloud drive, I found a trail of chaos. She'd downloaded sketchy freeware editors, bloated with adware, that had corrupted a folder of project files for a $500 client deadline. I'd scrambled to redo the work, losing sleep and nearly my reputation. Worse, buried in our family group chat, I found a message from Chloe to Mom. "Mia's too busy streaming to care about her computer. It's worth a ton, sell it for my gala stuff." My jaw tightened, a hot mix of fury and hurt surging through me. She hadn't just used me, she'd orchestrated this, knowing exactly how much that rig meant to me. I sat on my bed, the Seattle skyline a gray blur through my window, and felt something shift. 4 years I'd swallowed their favoritism, telling myself I could outwork it, that my hustle would speak louder than Chloe's whining. But this was theft, plain and simple, and Chloe's smug manipulation was the final straw. I wasn't just angry, I was done. Done with their excuses, their dismissal, their blind worship of Chloe's shallow dreams. My PC was gone, but I wasn't. I opened a new tab, started pulling up receipts for every component I'd bought, and texted Riley. "They sold my rig for Chloe's shopping spree. I'm fighting back." Her reply was instant. "Holy *T. I'm in, let's burn this down." As the rain drummed harder outside, I knew this was bigger than a computer. It was about reclaiming my worth, and I was ready to make them regret ever underestimating me. The betrayal seared through me, a molten ache that wouldn't quit. I spent days holed up in my room, the Seattle rain a constant hum outside, digging through digital archives like a detective. Every receipt for my PC's components, GPU, CPU, that sleek NZXT case, every build log screenshot, every PayPal record from freelance gigs, I compiled them into a folder labeled Justice. I even pulled up bank statements showing tournament winnings from local Apex Legends events, proof that my $3,800 rig wasn't just a toy but my livelihood. My parents thought they could erase my work for Chloe's Nordstrom haul, but I was about to show them I wasn't invisible. Dinner that night felt like stepping into a courtroom. The dining room, with its IKEA table and mismatched chairs, was tense, the air thick with the smell of Mom's overcooked lasagna. Chloe scrolled her phone, her new Prada sunglasses glinting under the pendant light. I set my folder down with a deliberate thud. "You stole from me," I said, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. Mom gasped, clutching her napkin like I'd cursed her out. "We're family, Mia." Chloe's influencer event was important. Brands were watching. Chloe didn't even look up, just rolled her eyes and snapped a selfie, her glossy lips pouting for Instagram. Dad, in his faded mariner's cap, growled, "Our house, our rules." That computer was in our home. I didn't flinch, sliding the receipts across the table. "These prove I paid for every part. These," I tapped the earnings screenshots, "show it's my job. You sold it for $1,500 without asking. That's theft. Pay me back or I'm filing a report." Chloe snorted, muttering, "Dramatic much?" Mom's face flushed, her voice shrill. "You'd sue your own family?" Dad leaned back, arms crossed. "You're out of line, Mia." But I held their gaze, my pulse pounding but my resolve ironclad. "Try me," I said. They scoffed, dismissing me, but I saw the flicker of doubt in Dad's eyes. For a week, the house was a Cold War zone. No one spoke to me. Chloe paraded her new outfits, Mom slammed dishes, Dad avoided me. I didn't care. I'd meant every word. Finally, they caved, shoving an envelope of $1,500 cash at me over breakfast, Mom muttering I'd regret this. I took it without a word, my hands steady. I tracked down the buyer through a local eSports Discord, a coach named Marcus who'd bought my rig for his team. Over coffee at a Fremont cafe, I told him my story. His eyes softened. "That's rough, Mia," he said, agreeing to sell it back for the same price. Then, leaning forward, he added, "You've got grit. Want a mentorship for the next tournament?" My heart skipped. This wasn't just about getting my PC back. It was a door opening, a chance to prove I was more than my family's afterthought. I was done being their doormat, done shrinking to fit their warped priorities. The betrayal of my parents selling my $3,800 PC for Chloe's Nordstrom spree wasn't just a loss, it was a wake-up call. I wasn't going to spend another day in that Capitol Hill house, suffocating under their favoritism. My best friend Riley, a Twitch streamer with a knack for cutting through BS, became my lifeline. Over late-night Discord calls, we scoured rental listings, landing on a gritty but charming studio in Fremont. It was a shoebox, barely 400 square feet, with scuffed hardwood and a temperamental radiator, but it had a view of the Fremont Troll's concrete silhouette and a vibe that screamed possibility. I signed the lease, my hands trembling with equal parts fear and excitement, and started decking it out. LED strips bathing the walls in neon purple, a secondhand desk from a thrift shop, and my reclaimed PC as the centerpiece. This wasn't just a room, it was my gaming sanctuary, my fortress against a family that never saw me. Moving out had to be stealthy. I knew Mom and Dad would weaponize guilt if they caught wind of my plan, and Chloe would probably spin it into some TikTok drama. Over 2 weeks, I smuggled boxes to Riley's Belltown loft, sneaking out clothes, my headset, and old sketchbooks while my family was distracted, Mom with her book club, Dad with his Mariners games, Chloe with her mirror. Riley helped me haul it all in her beat-up Subaru, cracking jokes about my great escape to keep me from spiraling. But they noticed something was up. At dinner one night, Mom's "You seem off, Mia" landed like a trap, her eyes narrowing over her quinoa salad. I shrugged, poking at my food, my heart racing as I lied about a big freelance deadline. Chloe, scrolling Instagram in her new Gucci slides, didn't even glance up. Dad just grunted, but I felt their scrutiny like a spotlight. The night before I left, Dad cornered me in the kitchen as I grabbed a soda. The fluorescent light buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on his weathered face. "Chloe said we should sell your computer because you're always glued to that screen," he said, leaning against the counter, his voice gruff but tinged with something like guilt. I froze, the can cold against my palm, and felt rage flare hot in my chest. "You chose her vanity over my career," I snapped, my voice low but cutting. "You didn't even ask me." "That's on you." His jaw tightened, but he didn't argue, just walked away, leaving me shaking with the weight of finally saying it out loud. I barely slept that night, the Seattle rain drumming against my window like a countdown. The next morning, I loaded my last duffel into an Uber before dawn, leaving a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm done being invisible. Don't contact me." The words felt final, a blade cutting ties I'd clung to too long. Driving to Fremont, the city's skyline fading in the rear view, I felt untethered but free, like I'd shed a skin that never fit. My studio smelled of fresh paint and possibility. I set up my PC, its fans humming like a heartbeat, and dove headfirst into freelancing and streaming. My Twitch channel, fueled by my Apex Legends skills and the raw story I shared in late-night chats about grinding for my rig about my family's betrayal, started gaining traction. Viewers weren't just there for headshots. They stayed for my grit, sending bits and subs with messages like, "You're a beast, Mia." Marcus, the eSports coach who'd sold my PC back, threw me a lifeline, an invite to a live-stream charity event for a Seattle kids' hospital. The event, hosted at a sleek downtown venue with Red Bull sponsors and RGB lit booths, was electric. I played alongside pros, my nerves buzzing but my aim steady, and pulled off a clutch win in a 3v1 that had the crowd roaring. A rep from a gaming peripheral brand, Razer Edge, approached me after, impressed by my underdog vibe. A week later, a prototype mechanical keyboard arrived at my studio, sleek with customizable haptics, a surreal win that made me feel like I was finally on the map. But my family wouldn't let go. Mom's texts flooded in, each one a dagger. "You're tearing us apart, Mia. How could you abandon us?" I deleted them, but they left a bitter aftertaste. Chloe, true to form, posted a shady Instagram story, a selfie in her gala dress with the caption, "Some people ditch family for a computer." LOL. I rolled my eyes, but Riley dropped a bombshell at our weekly ramen spot in the U District. Over steaming bowls of tonkatsu, she told me she'd overheard Chloe at a Capitol Hill party bragging to her influencer clique. "I totally tricked my parents into selling Mia's PC," she'd laughed, tossing her hair. "She's such a basement gamer, she'd never fight back." Riley's voice shook with anger, mirroring my own. That smug confession lit a fire in me, not just hurt, but a fierce determination to prove Chloe wrong. I leaned back in my studio chair, the city's neon glow filtering through my blinds, and felt a shift. Chloe thought she'd won, that I'd stay small, silenced by her manipulation. But I wasn't that Mia anymore. I opened my laptop, started prepping for the eSports qualifier, and texted Marcus, "I'm all in for the mentorship." Every frag, every stream, every design gig was now a middle finger to their dismissal. Seattle's tech pulse, its indie game studios, its gaming cafes, its underdog spirit felt like my ally. My family could keep their drama. I was building an empire, one headshot at a time, and Chloe's laughter was about to turn to dust. The Seattle rain was a soft patter against my Fremont studio's window as I sifted through old cloud backups on my creaky laptop, a relic I dusted off to recover lost design files. My reclaimed PC hummed in the corner, its LED glow painting my tiny space in neon hues, but I was chasing a ghost, files Chloe had trashed with her sketchy TikTok editors. Then came the twist. Buried in a deleted folder, I found a TikTok draft she'd saved on my rig. The thumbnail showed her posing in front of my setup, my custom keyboard glowing mockingly behind her. I hit play and my stomach twisted. Chloe's voice, dripping with smugness, chirped, "Meet my sister, the basement gamer, wasting her life on this junk while I'm out here living my best life." She panned to my meticulously built PC, laughing as she called it Nerd Central. The video cut off abruptly. She'd chickened out on posting it, probably knowing it'd spark a firestorm. My hands shook, not just from anger but from the clarity it brought. Chloe hadn't just used me, she'd planned to humiliate me publicly, all while stealing my lifeline. I didn't confront her. I had bigger plans, and they started with proving her wrong on a stage she couldn't touch. The regional eSports qualifier was days away, set in a sleek Seattle convention center buzzing with Red Bull cans, cosplayers, and RGB-lit booths. I'd been training with Marcus, the eSports coach who'd sold my PC back, his mentorship sharpening my Apex Legends game to a razor's edge. The event, streamed to thousands on Twitch, felt like my shot to rewrite my story. My hands were clammy on my controller, but when my team hit the final round, I locked in. We were down to a 3v3, the map a chaotic blur of gunfire and smoke. I pulled off a clutch grenade play, wiping the enemy squad, and the crowd erupted. The announcer shouted, "Mia Thompson takes it," as I secured a top 3 finish. Heart pounding, I grabbed the mic, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. "This is for everyone who's been underestimated," I said, thinking of Chloe's sneer, my parents' dismissal. "Keep grinding, your time's coming." The stream chat exploded. "Queen MIA." Underdog vibes. My channel hit 10,000 followers that night, a surreal rush that felt like my first real win. After the match, a rep from Razer Edge, the gaming brand that sent me a prototype keyboard, pulled me aside. Over the din of the convention floor, she offered to sponsor my trip to a national tournament in LA, flights, hotel, the works. "Your story's resonating, Mia," she said, her eyes sharp with business savvy. "People see themselves in you." I nodded, barely processing, my mind flashing to the kid who'd once begged for her parents' approval. That kid was gone. As I left the venue, the Seattle skyline glittering under a rare clear sky, I felt unstoppable, like the city itself was cheering me on. Meanwhile, my parents' world was imploding. I met my cousin Jake at a Capitol Hill coffee shop, the kind with exposed brick and overpriced oat milk lattes. Over a flat white, he spilled the tea. Mom and Dad had racked up $20,000 in credit card debt fueling Chloe's brand. Designer bags, sponsored posts, a rented photo studio, they'd bankrolled it all, assuming I'd chip in with my freelance cash like I had for years, covering groceries or bills when they overspent. "They're freaking out," Jake said, stirring his coffee. "They thought you'd always be there to bail them out." I shrugged, the steam from my cup curling like my resolve. They made their bed. Chloe's influencer gig was crumbling too. Jake showed me a Reddit thread blowing up online. Brands had dropped her after a data leak exposed her fake follower counts, bots she'd paid for to inflate her clout. The scandal spread like wildfire across Twitter, with hashtag #ChloeFraud trending locally. Her carefully curated image was toast, and I felt a quiet satisfaction, not because I wanted her to fail, but because the universe was balancing the scales. Mom's texts kept coming, each one more desperate. "You're tearing us apart, Mia," read one. "We're struggling, don't you care?" Then came her last-ditch plea. "Chloe's birthday dinner is next week. Come for family unity." I stared at the message, the glow of my PC casting shadows across my studio. Family unity? They'd sold my dreams for Chloe's ego and expected me to play along. Called her, my voice calm but unyielding. "I'm not playing pretend anymore," I said, leaning against my desk, the Fremont troll looming outside my window. "You chose Chloe's wants over my work, my worth. That's your choice, not mine." Her sobs crackled through the phone. "All we did our best, and you're so ungrateful." I didn't waver. "I'm done," I said. "Goodbye." I hung up, blocked their numbers, and felt the chains of guilt and obligation snap loose. The silence that followed was freedom, pure and electric, like the hum of my PC booting up. In my studio, I threw myself into prep for LA. My streams were buzzing now, my followers drawn to my sniper precision and the raw honesty I shared about clawing my way out of my family's shadow. Riley came over one night, pizza boxes in hand, and we laughed about Chloe's Twitter meltdown. "She's still posting mirror selfies like nothing happened," Riley said, scrolling her phone. I grinned, unbothered. "Let her. I've got a tournament to win. My parents' debt, Chloe's flop, they weren't my burden anymore. I was building something real, something mine, and no one could take it away." As I tweaked my stream overlay, the city's neon pulse outside my window felt like a promise. I was just getting started and the world was about to know my name. The LA National Tournament was a whirlwind of adrenaline and neon. Under the stadium lights, with thousands watching on Twitch, I gripped my controller, the roar of the crowd blending with the pulse of my heartbeat. The Apex Legends arena was a chaotic dance of strategy and reflexes, and I was in my element. My team fought to the final round, and when I landed a game-winning headshot, the announcer bellowed, "Mia Thompson takes second place." The stands erupted, and my phone buzzed as #MiaTheSniper trended on Twitter. Standing on that stage, Seattle's rain-soaked streets a distant memory, I felt like I'd rewritten my story. The kid who'd been dismissed by her family was now a name, a force, a beacon for every underdog who'd ever been told they weren't enough. Back in Fremont, I channeled that fire into something bigger. With Riley, my ride-or-die Twitch partner, I launched the Siren Squad, a mentorship program for young female gamers. We hosted workshops in a rented Capitol Hill studio, teaching girls how to stream, code mods, and dominate in games like Valorant. Every time I saw a shy teen light up after landing her first clutch, I saw myself, the Mia who'd built a $3,800 PC from barista tips, only to have it sold for Chloe's Nordstrom spree. Turning my pain into purpose felt like alchemy, transforming betrayal into a legacy. My streams, now pulling 15,000 followers, became a platform for Siren Squad, with fans donating to fund scholarships. My neon-lit studio, once a refuge, was now a headquarters for change. One night midstream, I spotted a familiar username in chat, Chloe Lux Vibes. My heart skipped. She was lurking, watching me thrive. She didn't type a word, just vanished after a minute. I didn't need her apology. Her silence said enough. My parents' texts had stopped, but a cousin mentioned their $20,000 debt was spiraling, Chloe's influencer gigs dead after her fake follower scandal tanked her brand. Their world was crumbling, but it wasn't my burden. I'd built my empire, controller in hand, LED glow casting shadows, a community cheering my name. My parents' pleas, Chloe's faded clout, they were their problem. I was free, living proof that betting on yourself trumps begging for scraps. Here's what I learned for anyone fighting to be seen. First, your worth isn't tied to others' approval. My family tried to define me as less than, but my PC, my skills, my grind proved them wrong. Second, evidence is power. Those receipts and screenshots gave me leverage to demand my $1,500 back. Never let anyone erase your proof. Third, choose your allies wisely. Riley's support, Marcus's mentorship, my Twitch fans, they became my real family, lifting me up when blood failed. Fourth, turn pain into purpose. Siren Squad wasn't just revenge. It was my way of ensuring no one else felt invisible. Fifth, freedom comes from letting go. Blocking my family's numbers wasn't easy, but it gave me peace to build my life. If this story hit you, if it sparked a fire, join our community. Hit that subscribe button and become part of our neon-lit squad where we share tales of grit and triumph. Drop your city in the comments, let's see where you're fighting from. Subscribe now and let's keep building empires together.